Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessie Ledbetter, and I'm the ASB president. Thank you guys so much for coming. It's truly an honor for you all to be here with us today. The first thing we're going to do, if you could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may all be seated. Now, Ted McBride and Mark Stratton are going to be singing the national anthem. You start it off.
Please stand. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Mark and Ted. And now the high school band is going to be playing the 5 theme song for our military branches. And if you please wish to stand up when you hear your song, that'd be greatly appreciated.
The Army. The Marines.
And now we are going to do short biographies on our veterans in attendance.
The first veteran we would like to recognize is Wally Rudd. He served in the Navy during World War II from 1943 to 1946 in the South Pacific. His rank was Gunner's Mate, second class. He has 5 battle stars, 1 for each battle that he fought in. His duties were an underwater demolition team specialist. Thank you for your service, Wally.
Hi, I would like to introduce Lori McNeil. She served in the Army and National Guard for 18 years. Her rank was Sergeant First Class, and she had too many accommodations to list, and her duties were engineer, but now she is a recruiter. Thank you for your service.
I will be introducing Lynn Kidd. He served in the National Guard for 10 years, through May 1963 through May 1969. His highest rank was Staff Sergeant E6. His duties were being a squad leader, and he was known for an expert marksman. Thank you for your service, Lynn Kidd.
I'm introducing Ted Huff. He served in the Air Force for 22 years in the Far East, Japan, China, Hawaii, Alaska, Vietnam, New Mexico, Florida, and Louisiana. His rank was Master Sergeant, and his commendations were a Bronze Star in Vietnam. His duties included nuclear weapons specialist. Thank you for your service.
The next person I'd like to introduce is George Knight. He served in the U.S. Army for 3 years. He served in the Vietnam War, and his rank was a Chief Warrant Officer. His commendations include Korean Award of Military Merit, the Bronze Star for Service, Air Medal with V device, and a Distinguished Flying Cross. His duties were medical education, evacuation helicopter pilot, and yeah, thank you for your service.
Bob Goodnow, he served in the Army. He served for 3 years. His tours were in Alaska before it was a territory. Highest rank was a corporal. His accommodations were good conduct. He was in the Army attached to the Air Force. Thank you for your service, Bob Goodnow.
The veteran I am introducing is Sawyer Rick. He served in the Army and National Guard. He served for 8 years. His tour was in Romania. His rank is corporal. His command was Army Achievement Medal and Small Arms Weapon. His duties was Cavalry Scout Ranger. Thank you for your service.
Matthew Miles served in the Army, Army Reserve, and National Guard. He served for 20 years. He toured in Iraq from 2004 to 2005, and his highest earned rank was Staff Sergeant. He received the Combat Action Badge, and his duties were transportation and instructor. Thank you for your service.
I'd like to introduce Roger Miller. His branch of service was the Army. He served for 24 years. He toured in Vietnam, and his rank was Staff Sergeant. Commendations, he had too many. He was the radio man, and he has a grandson in Cove, and he is a disabled vet due to Agent Orange. Thank you for your service.
Now, I would like to welcome William Pettit to introduce our guest speaker.
At age 17, Private Earl Pettit enlisted in the Army in 1983 and was a wheeled vehicle mechanic, fixing Jeeps, deuce and a halves, and gamma goats. A reservist while attending college, he earned his commission in field artillery in 1989. Lieutenant Pettit served in the 5th Infantry Division as a forward observer and fire direction officer during the Panama Invasion and Gulf War. In 1991, Lieutenant Pettit was rebranched into military intelligence, was promoted to captain, and served in the 1st Cavalry Division. While a member of America's first team, Captain Pettit supported operations at Guantanamo Bay during the Haitian refugee crisis. And finally, with Joint Task Force 6, JTF 6, America's counter-drug operations abroad. As Captain Pettit described it, it was during an operation with JTF 6 that my future serving in the Army came to an abrupt end with a fall from a helicopter. It would have been no big deal had the helo been landed. Injuries sustained during the operation resulted in Captain Pettit's career change, and here we are today with our district leader, my dad, Mr. Earl Pettit.
Today's Thursday. Might not mean a whole lot to most people, and you think, well, I really like Thursdays around the school because, well, you know, we don't have school on Friday. But that's not it. Every Thursday morning in the hallways of the elementary school, you get to hear the national anthem. For those of you that haven't, we posted a link on our website. 5th grade actually sings it every Thursday morning. I noticed it this morning, just like every Thursday. For the many young people watching today, last year, the year before that, and likely in years to come, you have seen and will likely witness many more times the emotion which overcomes a veteran who attempts to speak at an event like this. And I probably won't disappoint in the blubbering scale. The persona of principal referred to by the 3rd grade last year as Mr. Scary is difficult to maintain when overcome by the profound pride combined with tremendous loss, personal sacrifice, and lifelong camaraderie the veteran standing before you feels. When preparing these remarks, I had a conversation with my son, who just introduced me, about employing some of my favorite lead-ins for a good story. Now, this is no lie, or no kidding, there I was. Or how about, at first, I thought the mission was impossible. Now, while I do have some good stories, I'm not here today to share my personal experiences. Perhaps in a different setting, I'll have the opportunity to start my story with, at first, I thought the shot was impossible. But I'm just one of millions of veterans, like our board chair, Steve McLean, and our principal, Matt Miles, and the many guests we have that are present here today, as well as those watching online. This is not a day for sharing those personal individual experiences. Rather, today, we recognize the millions of Americans who have been willing to put America above themselves and serve in our armed forces. 7 decades ago, in 1950, brave Americans defended a far-off land that was under attack. For 3 years, they fought what many still call the Forgotten War. We are here to remember. We are here to honor not just those brave Korean War veterans, but all who have served in the US military since our nation's founding. Jack Sauter served in the US Navy during the Korean War. Many years later, he wrote, and I read, old article, in the American Legion magazine, which indicates that he had doubts of whether the outcome of the war was worth the cost of lives and treasure. But after the war, he was in his office in New York, and a Korean immigrant approached him and said, "I was very young when the war started," she says in an emotionally cracked voice. "We lived on the Han River, just south of Seoul. My family walked at the San. Thank you for saving my country." Sauter said, "The encounter with that woman put his last doubt to rest. It was worth it." Now, regardless of how one feels about policies that lead to war, there's no doubt that veterans serve with honor. They preserve our freedom and they serve to make life better for others. Not all veterans have seen war, but a common bond that they share is an oath which they express their willingness to defend and die for this nation. Perhaps the most significant in preserving our way of life are the battles America does not have to fight because of those who wish us harm tend to slink away in fear from the Coast Guard cutter, the Navy aircraft carrier, the Air Force fighter squadron, Marine Corps fire team, or the Army soldier on patrol. And now we're excited to add a new group of people, waiting for the next SOG, to the ranks of veterans, the men and women of the United States Space Force. We can be secure at home because we have brave warriors protecting us in the air, at sea, on land, and now beyond our atmosphere. In addition to foreign adversaries, many veterans have had to battle with invisible threats of their mental health and their well-being. This is especially true during the isolation many feel due to an action we now call social distancing. More than 20 veterans a day take their own lives. That number is growing during the pandemic. Now, only those who experience firsthand the horrors of combat can understand why so many young men and women feel compelled to take such drastic and permanent action. The U.S. Army recently reported a 30% increase in suicides among active duty troops in 2020. Like so many needless deaths, we must do everything we can to stop these. The VFW, DAV, American Legion, they've all instituted some form of buddy check program in which members are encouraged to regularly communicate with fellow veterans, just to see if you can help. But these do not need to be a veteran or belong to these organizations. You don't have to be a member of these to just offer your hands in friendship. Those of us gathered throughout the school in the 16 classrooms that are currently watching us, and in this gymnasium, are witnessing or observing Veterans Day, and we've already indicated our support for the outstanding men and women who have served our country. When you see veterans, tell them directly that you love them, that you appreciate them, and that you are grateful for their service. For our veteran guests, I'm telling you that now. We are their friends, their family, their co-workers, their students, and their neighbors. It is up to us to ensure that every veteran feels that his or her service to this country is appreciated by fellow Americans. There are many tangible ways we can acknowledge their sacrifice, but the easiest is to simply say, thank you for what you have done for our country. Now, if he is showing signs of unhappiness or depression, encourage him to seek help through the VA immediately. If she has difficulty obtaining the benefits she's entitled to, let her know that veterans organizations have thousands of trained service officers nationwide to help navigate the bureaucracy, or that every county in Oregon has a veterans advocate. And if a veteran has made the supreme sacrifice, remember the price that has been paid for our freedom and offer your support to the loved ones left behind. Remember how occasions like this started on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, November 11th, 1918, the guns stopped. It was a moment to be celebrated as the largest and deadliest war up until that time came to a merciful end. We celebrate that moment, only today we call it Veterans Day. Let me be clear, war is nothing to celebrate. Peace is. The peace brought to us between these horrific wars is brought to us by veterans. The sacrifice brought forth during those wars is also made mostly by our veterans. Now, that doesn't mean others don't suffer. Civilians are often killed, and nobody understands sacrifice more than our families, and especially our Gold Star families. We honor our fallen on Memorial Day, although veterans honor them every day. Veterans Day, however, is for all who served. While many veterans are humble, there's no such thing as insignificant military service. We understand that it isn't just the sacrifice and service that are important, but the willingness to offer your life in defense of this nation that sets veterans apart. Americans should always be dedicated to remembering the legacy of all veterans, because what these men and women have done for us matters to America. It matters to the people overseas who were liberated from tyranny due to the sacrifices of our military members. From defeating communism, fascism, and imperialism, to liberating slaves, to keeping peace during the Cold War, and battling terrorism today. Veterans have accomplished remarkable things throughout our nation's history. In decades to come, many of our current students will join our ranks as veterans. In spite of the sacrifices that nearly all veterans have made and the horrors that some have experienced, I join with the overwhelming majority who are proud to have served. 19th century British philosopher John Stuart Mill summed up the necessity of this special group of people when he wrote, "War is an ugly thing, but not the ugliest of things. The decayed state of moral and patriotic feeling, which thinks that nothing is worth war, is much worse. The person who has nothing to fight for which he is willing to fight, nothing which is more important than his own personal safety, is a miserable creature and has no chance of being free unless made and kept so by the exertions of better men than himself." Mill had it right. Fortunately for all of us, America has been blessed throughout its history by many such men and women, and we are blessed to see our young people at Cove School embracing Americanism. Thank you for being here. God bless America, and God bless our veterans.
Thank you. Now I'd like to welcome our fifth grade teacher, Trisha Tucker, and she's going to be singing God Bless America.
Berlin wrote the lyrics to God Bless America in 1918. Some sources say that he wrote the lyrics the day he joined the army. Unfortunately, the song did not have the reviews that he had hoped for, and so he set it aside. In 1938, as a Jewish immigrant, he decided to revisit the song. After some modifications, it made its national debut on Kate Smith's radio show. She sang it on November 11th, 1938. God Bless America was written to be performed as a prayer for peace and unity for our nation. I would like to sing it for you today with the same intention, as well as to honor and say thank you to the men and women who have served our country. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean's white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you. Now the last thing we have is our elementary kids made gifts for you guys to take home as a symbol for our appreciation. So a couple of kids are going to be handing them out to you. Thank you guys so much for coming. We truly appreciate your service and your sacrifice. Thank you.